It's the 4th of June and I'm Tom Glasson. Welcome to The Roast. Now, in light of Jeff Shaw holding the Victorian government to ransom and looking like he might be expelled from Victorian Parliament, we have lit a candle in solidarity. It's not for Jeff Shaw, by the way. That guy's a douche. It's for the people of Victoria. You are in our thoughts and prayers. Oh, sorry. Hang on. Sorry. Oh, Christ. Hang on. I'll get it. Tonight on The Roast, Clive Palmer refuses to apologise for an inappropriate comment, Jeff Shaw refuses to be a Liberal, and I refuse to throw to Mark Humphries with the headlines.
Do it or we'll expel you from hosting duties.
Yeah, all right. Here's Mark Humphries with the headlines. Stupid idiot.
Don't make me come down there.
Dad of Australia, Tony Abbott, visited Indonesia today. No, he wasn't trying to score an interview with Schapelle Corby. He was there to meet the Indonesian president, Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono. Abbott's visit only lasted 6 hours, spending around 3 with the president, seen here during his online dating days. And the remaining time must have been spent squeezing in typical Bali tourist stuff. Abbott is keen to mend relations with Indonesia following revelations that Australia had tried to spy on Yudhoyono's phone calls. Abbott is bound to be sympathetic. He hates people listening to his phone calls. A statement from the Indonesian presidential palace says they're hopeful a bilateral relationship can once again be optimised where both countries can rebuild trust and confidence. But after all that's happened, it's going to take some work to build up that trust again. OK, you two, let's build some trust. Abbott, you turn around, fall backwards, and Bambang will catch you. All right? Go. Tony, you meant to fall towards Bambang. It's a process. Indonesia is an important part of Abbott's foreign policy, as he showed last year with his nuanced slogan, More Jakarta, Less Geneva. An illuminating insight from Abbott, right up there with the time he described the Syrian conflict as baddies versus baddies. Both slogans were the work of Abbott's chief foreign policy advisor, Little Rudy.
Bang, bang.
I'm eagerly awaiting Abbott's next slogan, that Australia's defence policy should be less karate and more crazy. The relationship is important for the two countries, as Indonesia imports millions of dollars worth of Australian douchebags each year. The ACT and Queensland governments both handed down their budgets yesterday, finally giving in to Australia's demands for more budgets. Queensland's Liberal National Government is selling assets and building roads. It's like the old joke, why did the chicken build the road? Because it's a Liberal government chicken. I say old joke, I just made it up. And the Queensland Treasurer made sure to deliver a budget befitting of the Newman government.
We know the decisions we made are not going to be popular.
Remember when politicians made popular decisions? I don't. And finally, a study has found that 10% of Australia's native mammals have become extinct since European settlement. Sad to think we'll never know how they tasted. And even sadder to think that some native mammals still live. One co-author of the study thinks we need to shift our priorities when it comes to animals.
Australians spend $6 billion a year on pets. If just a tenth of that was added to the conservation effort, far more species would be prevented from going extinct.
I suspect if people were allowed to dress up native animals, they'd be far more interested in their survival. I mean, no one's letting this guy go extinct. For The Roast, I'm Mark Humphries.
Thank you, Mark. Well, Victoria is in the midst of what opposition leader Daniel Andrews has called an unprecedented constitutional crisis, and what the rest of the country calls been there, done that. But this constitutional crisis centres around Jeff Shaw, independent MP, member for Frankston and Just for Men poster boy. Shaw said he would vote against his former party in a vote of no confidence, which would then force an election. And that lack of confidence is somewhat mutual, with Shaw recently being found guilty of contravening the Code of Conduct for MPs by using his parliamentary car and fuel card to run deliveries for his personal hardware business. You might say being accused of misusing entitlements was his only vice. But you'd be wrong, because he sells all kinds of vices as part of his personal hardware business. And he may soon have plenty of time to focus on that, because this morning Daniel Andrews said he would move to find Jeff Shaw in contempt of Parliament and have him expelled. Apparently, the initial punishment of picking up rubbish during Parliament lunchtime just wasn't severe enough. And even though Shaw tempted the opposition leader with the power of his vote, which would overthrow the Liberal government, and he offered to throw in some free spanners and a hat with a light on it, Andrews said, no dice. But I will take that hat.
And let's not forget that Mr Andrews, only in the past 12 months, has said he will never accept the so-called tainted vote of the member for Frankston.
And that's because Shaw's tainted vote is a dark power that no man can control.
It began with the forging of the Great Parliament, 43 seats to Labour and 44 gifted to the Liberals, who above all else desire power, for within those seats was bound the will to govern the state of Victoria. But they were all of them deceived, for deep in the lands of Frankston, in the gateway to the Mornington Peninsula, a powerful seat was forged to control all others. One Jeff Shaw to rule them all. In the hands of Ted Baillieu, it gave the Premier the power to control Parliament. But the Shaw has a will of its own. It betrayed Baillieu to his death. The Shaw then came to the creature Dennis Napthine, but perceiving its time had come, it abandoned Napthine. Labour saw the power of the Shaw and moved to destroy it. But the leader of the opposition knew that if he wooed the Shaw, the Victorian government would topple. A fellowship was formed to destroy the power of the Shaw.
I'd urge all members of Parliament, Liberal and National, to join with Labor in dealing with Mr Shaw once and for all.
But the hearts of men are easily corrupted.
No, I can't rule out that we would not move at any time a motion of no confidence in the government.
For the time will soon come when independence will shape the fortunes of all.
And don't worry, Frankston, even though Shaw the Independent may be gone, he will soon be back as Shaw the White. Not representing you, just walking around town, having to listen to people ask who the hell dyes their hair white as he tries to offload those hats with the lights on them that he ordered back when he was a somebody. We'll be right back.
Have you ever been so widely hated that two political groups that despise one another joined forces just to get rid of you? Did you reflect on why that was and change your ways? Or did you just double down? We'd love to hear about it at Jeff Shaw MP or hashtag RoastTV.
And finally tonight, Clive Palmer, the member for Fairfax and man who left his compassion in one of his other 150 ostentatious cars, has come under fire after he suggested in Parliament that Tony Abbott's support for the paid parental leave scheme was purely for the benefit of his Chief of Staff, Peter Credlin. A multi-billion-dollar program designed for the benefit of just one person. What is this, the Applied Science Division of Wayne Enterprises? Now, a lot of commentators have labelled Palmer's comment sexist and have called for him to apologise for the remark. So with all these accusations and denials and refusals to apologise, we have to ask ourselves...
Is it sexist?
Hello and welcome to Is It Sexist, the game show that should have been cancelled 100 years ago. Our top prize tonight is the Is It Sexist board game by Crown and Andrews and a sought-after job in a male-dominated industry. Tonight's runner-up will receive this delicious pumpkin pie baked by our resident housewife and this pane of unbreakable ceiling-grade glass. Sorry, this is my first day. I used to work on the footy show. Moving on, and to our first round, politics. Start the clock. First up, Clive Palmer.
Why should Australian citizens and businesses be taxed and working women discriminated against just so the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff can receive a massive benefit when she gets pregnant?
So, contestants, is it sexist?
Yeah, it's complicated, okay? Because on the one hand, he did make a good point about the inbuilt inequalities in the paid parental leave scheme, but on the other hand, he unnecessarily targeted a woman on the issue of children and career. So I'm going to say it's a grey area, but it's on the sexism spectrum, yeah.
It is? Yeah, I mean that's what I did too. Yeah. Okay, next clip.
She's the top enchilada. Huh? She's the top dog, I should say. Oh, I shouldn't say that.
Is it sexist?
That she's an enchilada? Because, I mean, if she's going to be an enchilada, I guess it's a good thing that she's the top enchilada. Plus, being top dog, it's kind of a gender-neutral expression, so I'm going to say no.
Watch out, Alex. It looks like Cara is becoming the top enchilada on this game show. Moving on, and to Barnaby Joyce on the project discussing Clive's comments.
Who is wearing the pants in the PM's office? Is it Abbott or is it Peter Credlin?
Yeah, that's definitely sexist. What, because only one person in a working relationship can wear the pants? I mean, is there some kind of pants famine that I'm unaware of? And why do pants translate to power and authority anyway?
Thought-provoking questions there, Alex, but that wasn't the part of the interview we meant to show, but 5 bonus points to you. Let's roll the rest of the clip.
I'm on good information from my husband. She's definitely a woman.
Sorry, Barney, what did you mean by...
Oh, God, what's he even saying? That he had to ask her husband if she had lady parts? Gross.
Oh, I'll take that as a yes. And last question here on Is It Sexist? Tony Abbott. And our time's up. And the winner is Alex. Yeah. And the job you've won in a male-dominated industry is... mine. Shit.
And for all of you playing at home, the key to winning Is It Sexist is, if you have to ask, it probably is. Now, to be fair, not all of Clive Palmer's speech consisted of unwarranted and insensitive comments about a woman.
All citizens, regardless of wealth, race, geography or gender, should not be discriminated against.
The man is an enigma wrapped in insensitivity. One minute he blurts out tasteless statements, the next he passionately argues for an end to discrimination. And old Martin Luther Palmer kept the positive quotes a-coming.
We need strong women in cabinet, and a lot of them, so that we have role models.
Yeah, sing it, Mahatma Palmer, you occasional civil rights hero. Unfortunately, all these worthy sentiments count for nothing because all of the media's oxygen went into talking about Clive Palmer's totally indefensible Peter Credlin comment and the subsequent lack of an apology, which is a valuable lesson for Clive Palmer. If you are advocating for more women in politics, don't engage in personal attacks on women in politics. And the news media could also take a lesson or two on hypocrisy whilst reporting these kinds of stories, as we discover in the Roast Zone media segment, Media Botch.
Good evening and welcome to Media Botch. Clive Palmer's insensitive comment has provided the media with ample opportunity to make women's rights somehow about one specific man's obesity. Fairfax's Tony Wright compared Clive Palmer to Monty Python's corpulent Mr. Creosote. Oh dear. The article includes a link to the video of Mr. Creosote exploding, presumably so, you know, you can go, fat people, before getting into a serious bit about discrimination. Not to be outdone, the Daily Telegraph sought to educate their readers about paid parental leave, with a guide on how to spot a Palmersaurus, who can be identified by his several chins and prehensile stomach. Prehensile? Oh, that's a big word for the Daily Telegraph. Elsewhere in the newspaper that could be mistaken for a comic book, columnist Miranda Devine has criticised feminists for being silent on this story, with an article declaring, "Where's the handbag hit squad now?" Handbag hit squad? Well done, Miranda. You've just made your argument against sexism by using the same sexist language the Liberal Party used to describe Labour women in politics. And if you want to completely lose your own moral high ground while criticising someone for being discriminatory, be sure to undermine yourself by following these steps. First, laugh at someone's physical appearance. Then hire MS Paint as a journalist, and then write headlines using the same language that apparently offends you. Do that, and you've lowered the intelligence of your audience so much they'll never know you're being a hypocrite. For the Roasts Media Botch, I'm Jazz Twemlow.
Thank you, Jazz. Well, that's it from us, and I think if we've learnt anything from tonight's episode, it's that everyone is horrible in their own special way. Good night. Oh, sorry. No, I've done it again. Sorry. Sorry. Oh, Christ.